Hey there, folks. I'm Mark, in affiliation with Spectrum Pulse, and it's Billboard Breakdown. I don't remember. I get the feeling that this episode might be more interesting to a completely different demo than my audience. Because here I was going thinking that there could well be a BTS explosion, only to get hit with a very different album bomb that I nearly forgot about, but also shows the sort of considerable force that isn't really getting significant coverage, at least not in my sphere. Hell, I'll be honest, I forgot this project was even getting released, which might be a very telling sign, and we'll get to why in a little bit. But first, our top 10, and yes, The Box by Roddy Ricch is still at number 1 thanks to a stranglehold on streaming. And with the video coming, it's probably not shifting anytime soon, except for radio seeming to stall out prematurely. Now that hasn't been an issue for Life is Good by Future featuring Drake at number 2, which still has traction on the radio and is narrowing that margin, especially on YouTube, but it's just not beating The Box anywhere just yet. Then we got Circles by Post Malone at number 3, which is bleeding in all categories, but it'll take a few weeks before that airplay margin weakens enough for it to truly fall off. But the big story of our week starts with our new number 4, and one that will likely not last in the top 10, On by BTS. Yes, it's dominant on sales, and the YouTube is very good, but it doesn't have on-demand streaming weight, and it's got no radio. So if you're wondering why BTS songs smash onto the charts for a single week and then evaporate, that's why. There's no conspiracy, Stan Army. BTS and their management just haven't cracked the streaming market like they have YouTube, and even then, YouTube is region locked. They're only counting the streaming on this side in the US. Now compare this to Dua Lipa and Don't Start Now at number 5, which also doesn't have huge on-demand streaming, but the song's a radio monster and still gaining. Or Roxanne by Arizona Zervas at number 6, which has weaker sales, but it's just been unbelievably consistent in streaming and radio. Actually went on a bit of a run on this week in the airplay. Now, it's probably enough to put it above Dance Monkey by Tones and I, which fell down to number 7 as I predicted based on radio slipping into freefall even despite good sales. Shame, I still like the song, but the run's been impressive. More promising are the gains for Blinding Lights by The Weeknd up to number 8, rising up thanks to really strong sales, streaming, a real radio tear. I mean, I told you all it was going to be a hit, and it's really getting there. It blew right past Memories by Maroon 5 at number 9, which is just hemorrhaging radio, even despite a modest sales recovery. Thankfully, it's on its way out. Unfortunately, Intentions by Justin Bieber featuring Quavo stuck around at number 10 because streaming got behind it and it's making a radio run. Congratulations, Bieber, you pushed the worst song from your bad album as a single. That's real smart. But on the topic of things that should die, we've got our losers and dropouts. Without that much surprising in the latter category, as Bandit by Late Juice WRLD and YoungBoy Never Broke Again finally faded away, along with Truth Hurts by Lizzo. Kind of amazing how quickly that song's moment seems to have faded in culture, isn't it? And most of our losers, they're just debuts from last week, which translates to album bombs that are fading away. For Justin Bieber, that means Yummy falling down to 23, and Forever with Post Malone and Clever at 74, and for A Boogie with the Hoodie, Numbers with Roddy Ricch, Gunna, and London on the Track at 50, and Me and My Guitar all the way down at 97. Now sadly, this also translates to losses for No Time to Die by Billie Eilish at 54, and To Die For by Sam Smith at 61, as well as the album boost for I Hope You're Happy Now by Carly Pearce and Lee Brice fading down to 75. But beyond that, Suicidal by YNW Melly continues to fade at 66. South the Border by Ed Sheeran, Camila Cabello, and Cardi B continues to flop at 86. And Riding Roads by Dustin Lynch sputtered down to 96. Good. Now, I wish I could say our gains and returns were just as promising, but sadly, I'm just seeing a lot of missteps here. Why is Taylor Swift pushing The Man as her next single, returning to 92? How in the nine hells is After Hours by The Weeknd moving so well up to 20? I mean, you'd think if he was boosting streaming anywhere, it'd be on a song that actually has a hook. Then there's Say So by Doja Cat at 33, a song that's way too milquetoast to justify the comeback for its producer, and Dior by the late late Pop Smoke up to 30. I mean, it's predictable, even if the song is kind of lousy. The only good news here comes with Dive Bar by Garth Brooks and Blake Shelton up to 78. I mean, it's not great, but it's passable. And Pussy Fairy by Jhené Aiko making a nice return to 88 before the album. I'm not too optimistic to expect this to be a hit, but it's still a good song. I'll take that. And since we actually did get a legit album bomb from YoungBoy Never Broke Again, the rules are in effect. And the songs that did not crack the top 40 or wind up among the best or worst of this week: Batman at 89, Long RD at 85, R.I.P. Lil Phat at 80, Knocked Off at 60, and Red Eye at 47. But now on to our debuts proper, starting off with number 98, Feel Me by Selena Gomez. Really, Selena? You're going with this over Vulnerable or A Sweeter Place with Kid Cudi, instead picking up a song that wasn't even on the standard version of the album and has been floating around in leaks since 2017? And man, it sounds like a Selena Gomez song lyrically from 2017, as basically with the same questioning, give and take that characterize It Ain't Me, but swapping out Kygo with a lot of otherwise rote, wiry clicking and buzzing tropical rattles that don't really showcase a lot of melody, at least before the smattering of flutes come in on the outro, but even that's kind of predictable. Now, for as underproduced as Rare was, I can probably still call this a net improvement. It's better than most of the songs on the album, and Selena Gomez can certainly play the increasingly exasperated girl who just wants this guy to commit enough for the hookup, where he's seemingly miserable everywhere else, according to her. But am I the only one who can't help but notice how the vocals feel really warbly and overproduced here, not helped by all the additional ad-libs tacked in? I don't know. I see it being fine, but I also don't see it sticking around. Just saying. Number 93, Shake the Room by Pop Smoke featuring Quavo. Alright, another cut from the late Pop Smoke, this time with the obvious team up with Quavo for maximizing streaming over the faded vocal snippets on a Sandy Trap Shutter. It's got a bit of a smoky Travis Scott vibe and arguably production that's better than most of what Travis Scott's been using recently. Shame that Pop Smoke's abortive flow relies more on the halting ad-libs, a lot of the leaden beat, and a lot of brand names that don't really elevate the song, especially with Quavo refocusing on the same sort of gunplay and flexing that Migos always brings. Although his opening lines seem to imply that he's trying to empty his gun by shooting everything up, which seems counterintuitive for a party flex. You kind of want people to stay in the room? I don't know, it's okay, probably better than Dior on production alone, but it's not a cut I see sticking around, especially posthumously these days. Number 87, Filter by BTS. So here's the thing with some of the BTS debuts this week. They're not really driven by the whole boy band, instead choosing to place way more focus on one particular member, with this one landing on Jimin for a very plucky, clicking, acoustic R&B vibe where I'm actively distracted by how cheap sounding the percussion is. There's no warmth to Jimin's slick delivery or the guitars, and him trying to frame himself as the filter for this girl, referencing Instagram. Well, am I the only one who doesn't quite think it's as cute as it's trying to be? That she present herself to the world through the vision and effects that he provides, even with the flip that by the end of it all, the more fan service highlighting how little he would be without her. I don't know, it just feels really frail and undercooked to me, and not one of the better songs from Map of the Soul 7. So, next, number 84, My Time by BTS. Now, this was actually one of the BTS solo cuts I liked a little bit more, leaning into Jungkook's richer and deeper vocals off a little bit more focus on the guitar accent and atmosphere and the richer vocal cushion around the hook, which makes it such a shame the percussion sounds so canned and clunky, and a really lumpy verse and pre-chorus groove. And you know what, for the most part, I actually do really like the lyrical sentiment, trying to go through the formative years of his time with BTS and how that's left him further disconnected from others with whom he's trying to build a connection, even despite everything still moving way too fast. Hell, it actually would have been cool if they took some of that guitar wailing throughout the outro and moved it a little bit closer to the front, emphasize more of an individual virtuoso presence, juxtapose it against his current sacrifices. But you know what? It is still better as it is. It's not one of the best on the project, it's not Boy With Love, but solid enough. I'll take it. Number 71, Moral of the Story by Ashe.
In the end, it's better for me. That's the moral of the story, babe.
Okay, how to explain this? Ashe is a pop artist who recently got this charting thanks to it featuring in the Netflix movie To All the Boys, P.S. I Love You, which kicked off a TikTok trend, and here we are. And I'll give her credit immediately for Phineas on production opposite the piano line that picks up a fair amount of elegant texture in a lot of the strings, which can flatter the more adult songwriting post-divorce, where she's stuck asking some really hard questions and then reconciling where she's at right now. It's a very conversational writing style, and Ashe's extremely poised delivery. It's got a very musical theater style, which I'm naturally inclined to like, which makes the leaden groove with the stuttering claps a little bit of an odd fit. It's a little rougher. It adds that piece that makes you think you're going to get a less refined vocal line, especially given the messy lack of solutions that are present in the song. But as it is, I don't know, it's got polish, but it also feels kind of fundamentally flawed at its core, trying to split the organic rawness and some real theatricality. I mean, it's not a bad tune, but I really do wish I liked it a lot more. Just saying. Number 59, Bad Bad by YoungBoy Never Broke Again.
Cool and rollin', not so short they give me hit.
So one thing you'll notice about this YoungBoy Never Broke Again project, beyond the abundance of watery guitar textures rammed slapdash against the cheap trap beats, it's the overstuffed ad-libs. And if there's a song where it gets actively distracting in the worst possible place, it's here, and it's on the hook, no less, which feels alarmingly choppy and messy, but with no interesting content to really elevate it. That's arguably why this song stands out as a dud to me. For all the by-the-numbers, drug-addled gunplay on the verses, kind of by the numbers for YoungBoy, the hook would be where he would really turn up and deliver. It just doesn't really happen. And while I wouldn't highlight it as the worst song from this guy I've ever heard, it is certainly album filler on a project that ran together way more than it should. Now, thankfully, next up we've got number 58, Fine by Time by YoungBoy Never Broke Again.
Time gon' go. Just remember, don't you ever let them take your soul.
So this is YoungBoy on more tropical production opposite the pianos. As you can tell, he's still trying to work a lot of that Young Thug impression that's all over, still flexing, still stepping, and with a little bit more of a stable melody on the hook and a pretty sharp flow on the second verse that actually tries to reference the family drama and the deaths of his friends that continues to color his paranoia and angst, and how his vices don't really soothe his pain as he's likely gonna wind up back in prison fighting yet another case. Hell, even his songs don't seem to trigger that same sort of broader connection with his audience, as he mentions in the outro, which with a little bit more introspection might reveal something that comes with oversaturating the market. But if I'm looking for a standout from the album, thus far the songs that charted, it is probably this. Good song. Check it out. Number 28, Lil Top by YoungBoy Never Broke Again. So, this was the highest charting song from the project, with an even broader warping twang against the trap beats, at least until the guitar winds up stuck at the back of the mix, where YoungBoy takes more of a Lil Wayne approach to his nasal croak on the hook, and then proceeds to rant about his inability to be close to friends or family, and a lot of drug abuse, and the rare third verse in these sort of songs, which is all the more gunplay. And at this point, I have to ask the hard question. YoungBoy Never Broke Again has been consistently racking up chart positions for years now, with a fair number of album bombs, but the subject matter and the tropes from him, especially here, they're pretty stale at this point. So if even he's finding this material disconnected and repetitive, especially when you can tell he actually gets invigorated and makes better music whenever there's a challenger or something different or interesting to do, why doesn't he take a little bit of a break to recharge, refine what he's really delivering? Because this song, it's kind of catchy, but completely middle of the road. And he has delivered better, and he probably can, and I guarantee I'm going to wind up forgetting it. Which for as many projects as held true for YoungBoy Never Broke Again, that might be the biggest problem of all. Just saying. And finally, number 4, On by BTS. So I'll give this one thing. When you get past a lot of the overcompressed vocals and synth horns that sound painfully thin against all the attempts at synthesizing organ-inflected soul, all against the marching band snares that stumble straight into trap in a really clunky way, the hook's not bad, Hell, if the vocals were competently layered, I think BTS could have some forceful presence with this song. One of the cuts where they actually try to confront the darker, shadowy unconsciousness with a bring it on attitude that they've at least tried to face with some level of intensity. It even kind of fits within the themes of the album, but the larger problem is that the song just isn't dark or ominous so much as it is very garish and overmixed and trying to do way too much in the production. And that doesn't really flatter any of the individual members who all seem to be fighting for air within this. In other words, this would not be the single I would put from that album that BTS is pushing. There's a lot better on the project. This is not it, and I've even seen some fans agree with me there. Take that as what you will. But believe it or not, I'm not gonna say this week is bad so much as it is aggressively middle of the road. And yeah, I hate to say it, but On by BTS is getting the worst of the week, pretty much on bad production and blown potential alone. Although Bad Bad by YoungBoy Never Broke Again lives up to the title for the dishonorable mention. Now the best of the week, you know what, BTS is gonna get that too with My Time, but it was close thanks to YoungBoy Never Broke Again and Fine by Time, which is getting the honorable mention, which is just missing a little bit more content to really put it over the top. But next week, oh god, Album Bomb is likely gonna replace Album Bomb because Lil Baby is coming. Joy. But until then, I'm Mark, you're watching Billboard Breakdown, affiliated with Spectrum.